The winch groans. The fishing net, heavy with its catch from 1,000 meters down, breaks the surface of the Tasmanian Sea. The crew gathers. But something is wrong. The net is far too heavy. And through the mesh they see not the silver flash of fish, but a pale, gelatinous mass. It spills onto the deck, a heap of pinkish goo with a cartoonishly large nose and a permanent, sorrowful frown. You are looking at a blobfish, and you are watching it die. This creature lives its life under pressure you can barely imagine. At 1,200 meters deep, the weight of the water is over 110 times what you feel right now. It is an environment that would crumple a military submarine like a tin can. To survive, the blobfish has no skeleton to speak of, no swim bladder filled with gas. Its body is a masterpiece of adaptation, a gelatinous structure just slightly less dense than the water around it. This allows it to float effortlessly above the sea floor, waiting for a meal to drift by. It is perfectly suited for its world, but we dragged it into ours. And here's the part nobody talks about. When you pull this animal to the surface, the catastrophic drop in pressure causes its tissues to expand. Its body loses all structural integrity. It collapses into the drooping, sad-faced caricature the internet turned into a meme. That famous picture is not the world's ugliest animal. It's a photograph of a creature experiencing explosive decompression. Its body is literally falling apart. Think about what that means. We took an animal's final agonizing moments and turned it into a joke. Down in the dark, in its own world, the blobfish looks completely different. It looks like a fish. But the blobfish is small, a minor casualty of our deep-sea trawling. It was an accident. And now pay attention to this. What happens when something much, much larger surfaces? A creature not dragged up in a net, but one that comes up on its own. A true giant from the abyss, whose body is an even greater marvel of pressure engineering. What happens when its world and our world collide? To understand why a deep-sea giant cannot simply visit our world, you first have to understand theirs. And their world is ruled by one thing: pressure, unrelenting, unforgiving pressure. Right now, as you sit there, the air around you is pressing down on your body with a force of 14.7 pounds on every single square inch. You don't feel it. You've lived your entire life in it. Your body is perfectly adapted to push back. Now imagine diving into the ocean. For every 33 feet you descend, you add another entire atmosphere of pressure, another 14.7 pounds per square inch, then another, and another. Let's go deeper, down to the wreck of the Titanic, 12,500 feet below the waves. Here, the pressure is no longer a gentle blanket. It's a vice. The force is over 5,500 pounds on every square inch of your body. It's the equivalent of having 3 cars balanced on your thumbnail. Nothing with air inside it can survive. A styrofoam cup shrinks to the size of a thimble. A human lung would be instantly turned to pulp. So how can anything live here? And here's where biology becomes stranger than science fiction. The creatures of the abyss don't fight the pressure. They surrender to it. Their bodies contain no compressible air spaces, no swim bladders, no lungs. They are made mostly of water, and water is nearly impossible to crush. They are one with the pressure. This is their normal. In fact, they need it. Organisms called piezophiles, or pressure lovers, have evolved so completely that their very biochemistry depends on that crushing force. Their proteins, the tiny molecular machines that run their cells, are built to fold correctly only under immense pressure. Take the Mariana snailfish, found swimming happily at over 26,000 feet. It's a pale, ghostly creature whose bones are more like flexible cartilage. Its skull isn't fully fused together. It's a body designed to yield, not to break. But here's the part nobody talks about. That adaptation is a one-way street. At our surface pressure, the snailfish's proteins would literally unravel. Its cell membranes would become too fluid, leaking like a sieve. Its entire system of life would simply stop working. It's a prisoner of the deep, a prisoner in a cage made of physics. So what happens when you drag one of these prisoners to the surface? The result is called barotrauma, and it's not what you think. It's not a simple explosion. It's a gruesome, agonizing transformation. Any gases dissolved in the creature's tissues, and there are always some, violently come out of solution. They form bubbles that expand everywhere, inside their blood, inside their cells, inside their organs. It is the exact same principle as the bends that human divers fear, but magnified 1,000 times over. You've probably seen the photograph of the blobfish, a pink, gelatinous, frowning creature that became an internet joke. But that picture is a lie. Or rather, it's a photograph of a corpse. In its deep-sea home, 4,000 feet down, the blobfish looks like a normal fish. What you see in that famous photo is what happens after its body has been destroyed by rapid depressurization. Its tissues have swollen. Its organs have been pushed out of its mouth. It is the aftermath of a catastrophic death. Our early explorers on the Challenger expedition from 1872 to 1876 were the first to see this. They would haul their nets up from miles down and find them filled with unrecognizable gelatinous masses. They were looking at the ruins of animals perfectly designed for one world and utterly obliterated by another. We have established the physical laws that chain these creatures to the abyss, a wall of pressure they cannot cross. It seems absolute. But what if the wall itself could move? What if an event could suddenly change the physics of an entire column of water, forcing these animals upwards against their will, forcing them up alive, but already dying? You've seen the photographs. The gelatinous creature with a downturned mouth, the bulging eyes of a goblin shark, a monster from the abyss presented for your shock and morbid curiosity. It looks like a nightmare, a cosmic joke, but the creature's grotesque appearance on the surface isn't its natural state. It is the anatomy of a violent death. And here's the part that is rarely discussed. This isn't a rare event. It is not some freak of nature. It's a business model. What you see is the result of an unnatural summons, a forced descent from a world of crushing pressure to our world of thin air. Think about the pressure difference. At 1,000 meters down, the water exerts over 100 atmospheres of pressure on a creature's body. That's like having 50 jumbo jets stacked on top of you. Their bodies are built for it. They don't have gas-filled swim bladders like shallow water fish. Instead, they have watery, gelatinous flesh with bones as light as cartilage. This allows them to perfectly match the immense pressure outside. There is no pressure differential. It's a perfect equilibrium until we intervene. When a deep-sea creature is dragged to the surface, this equilibrium is shattered. The gases dissolved in its tissues expand violently. It's the ultimate case of the bends. Eyes are forced from sockets. Organs rupture. The stomach is often pushed out of the mouth. The creature literally turns inside out. It's a horrific, explosive death, and it happens thousands of times a day. How? The answer is scraped along the bottom of our oceans. It's called bottom trawling. Imagine a net, its mouth wide enough to swallow a cathedral, dragged across the sea floor. These nets are held open by steel doors that can weigh over 5 tons each. They plow through ancient coral gardens and delicate ecosystems that have existed for millennia. They are indiscriminate. They catch everything. The target might be orange roughy or Patagonian toothfish. But the nets don't care. They scoop up every living thing in their path. And here's where it gets uncomfortable. Scientists call the unwanted creatures bycatch. In some deep-sea fisheries, the bycatch is staggering. For every 10 creatures pulled from the depths, 9 are unwanted. Read that again. 90% of the life hauled up is considered trash, discarded, thrown back into the ocean, dead or dying. This is the story of the blobfish, Psychrolutes marcitus, voted the world's ugliest animal. But in its home, nearly a kilometer down, it looks completely different. It's perfectly adapted. Its gelatinous body has almost the same density as water, allowing it to float effortlessly above the seafloor. It is not ugly. It is a masterpiece of evolution. Its famous, sad-looking face is simply what happens when its internal structure collapses from explosive decompression. We made it ugly. We turned a survivor into a meme. And it's not just industrial fishing. Scientific expeditions do it too. They bring up specimens to study, to catalog, to understand. Is it a necessary sacrifice for knowledge? Perhaps. But try telling that to the creature as its body tears itself apart on the journey up. So what happens to the mountains of bycatch? The 9 out of 10? The tons of mangled life deemed worthless for our dinner plates? And you might imagine they are returned to the sea, a quiet burial. The truth is far more practical and far more profane. It's rendered, ground down into fish meal, and sold to farmers as fertilizer for the crops. That will end up on your table. The winch screams. It's a high, metallic shriek that cuts through the roar of the waves. On the deck of the research vessel, everyone stops. The net is coming up from 2,000 meters below, and it is heavy, far too heavy. You watch the cable, thick as your arm, straining as it spools onto the drum. Water, black and impossibly cold, cascades from the mesh. Then you see it. A shape. Something pale and enormous, tangled in the lines. It isn't fighting, it's just coming apart. As it breaks the surface, the change accelerates. Its skin, built to withstand the pressure of 200 atmospheres, begins to tear under the weight of just one. Its eyes, once dark lenses for gathering faint bioluminescence, are now milky white spheres pushed from their sockets. A pink, fleshy sac balloons from its mouth. That's its stomach, forced out by its own expanding swim bladder. This is barotrauma. It's what happens when you pull a life form from the crushing dark into our world of light and air. Think about it like this. A human diver ascending too quickly from 30 meters gets the bends. A painful, sometimes fatal condition. This creature has been pulled up from a depth 60 times greater in a matter of minutes. The nitrogen in its tissues is not just bubbling, it's boiling. Every cell is a tiny explosion. Its entire body is disintegrating from the inside out. And here's the part nobody really wants to admit. We are the cause. Look at the most famous deep-sea monster of all, the blobfish. That gelatinous, miserable-looking face is a global meme. But it's a lie. In its own environment, under immense pressure, the blobfish looks like a normal fish. That collapsed. A cartoonish corpse is what we create when we drag it into ours. We turn it into a monster, then we laugh at it. Or consider the orange roughy. a fish that can live for over 150 years. It swims in the dark, silent depths, a witness to a century and a half of history. When a deep-sea trawler scoops it up, its life ends on a deck, gasping in an atmosphere that is poison to it. Its ancient body ruptures, all for a dinner fillet. On board these ships, scientists rush in. They see a specimen, a chance to learn. They measure the torn fins. They sample the ruined tissue. They preserve what is left in jars of formalin. The smell stings your nostrils. It's the smell of science and of death. You can see the conflict in their eyes, the thrill of discovery at war with the horror of what they are witnessing. They are documenting an execution, one they commanded. We pull these mysteries from a world without sun into ours. We say it is for knowledge, to understand the planet. But the very act of observing them destroys them. It forces you to look down at the beautiful ruined creature on the deck. Its life is over simply because we wanted to have a look. And you have to wonder, if this is the price of our curiosity, what have we really gained? So you've seen the images, the gelatinous blob that was once a blobfish, the mangled tentacles of a giant squid torn by the ascent. We see a monster, a curiosity. But we are looking at a ruin, a creature built for the crushing dark, shattered by the light. And here's the part nobody talks about. Every time we haul one of these animals from the depths, we aren't making a discovery. We are documenting a failure. Our failure. We celebrate finding a corpse, a ghost of what the animal truly was, its body warped beyond recognition by our world. Think about what that means. We are celebrating the destruction of the very thing we seek to understand. But there is another way. Descend with us to 800 meters below the surface, into the midnight zone. The pressure here is 80 times greater than at sea level. And here, you see it, a barrel-leaf fish. Its name is Macropinna microstoma. It hangs motionless in the water column. Its head is a completely transparent, fluid-filled dome. Inside that dome, you can see its eyes. 2 brilliant green orbs. They aren't facing forward. They are looking straight up through the top of its own head, searching for the silhouettes of prey against the faint light from above. This creature is a miracle of adaptation. That fragile dome would explode in our low-pressure world. Those sensitive eyes are built for a darkness we can barely imagine. It is perfect, utterly and completely perfect, in its own world, not ours. For these giants and these jewels of the deep, our world is hell. Our air is poison. Our lack of pressure, a fatal explosion. We spend billions searching the stars for alien life. We dream of finding something that thinks and lives in a way we cannot comprehend. Yet, we have it right here, an alien world on our own planet, a place so different, our very presence is a force of annihilation. We are the invaders. And so, the real exploration isn't done with nets and hooks. It's done with light and cameras, with remote vehicles that can visit this world without destroying its inhabitants. To see them not as specimens, but as citizens of a world we can only ever be guests in. It leaves you with a final, lingering question. As we continue to push into the last unknown corners of our world, are we searching for knowledge? Or are we just searching for something else to own? Some mysteries may not be ours to solve. They are simply meant to be, and to be left alone.